Hello, let's talk about preparing your research proposal. You are going to need to come up with at least 5 good questions about your topic, which will help you then search the library catalog to find some sources. And at this point for the proposal, I'm only asking you to find 3 good sources. I just want to make sure that whatever topic you've chosen or the aspect of the topic you've chosen will help you focus your research. But I want to stress that the search process, looking at library sources, may direct you to thinking about some things that you hadn't considered before. Now, there were several people who put Jesus as the famous person they would like to meet or would like to learn more about. So, since this was a topic that several people chose, I want to do a demonstration of this one, and we'll do one more to show you what I was hoping you would do as you go through the process of finding information and narrowing your topic. So right now, you start with the topic just Jesus. How can you narrow that? By thinking of questions that you might ask about the topic, in this case, about Jesus. And so some of the questions I came up with are using the journalist's questions. And you remember those are who, what, where, when, why. And any variation of those questions or combination of those questions can help you get to a more meaningful topic that is narrow. We're trying to go from the big, everything that's been written about Jesus, and there's a great deal, to a very specific topic that you can discuss in a paper of about 10 pages. And in order to get there, um, we need to really narrow in on what exactly about Jesus do you want to know about. So, some questions that I came up with, and these are the ones not in yellow. Who did Jesus say he was? Who did people in his time think he was? What do other religions say about him? Why have his teachings been so influential down through the centuries? And how can people living today get to know him? For my money, any one of these questions would be your whole paper. And even these questions individually are pretty broad still. You probably still want to narrow these down. You certainly would not tackle all 5 of these in the paper. One of the reasons I'm not asking you to come up with a thesis statement right away is because I think as you read more about your topic and understand more about your topic, it's going to become clearer to you what aspect of even these questions you want to narrow in on. But for this first step, I think it's really helpful if you can um, just ask a question and then see what kind of resources does the library have on that question, and is there an interesting slant that some of the sources have that you may not have thought of and might be interested in working with. So for the first question, so for each of your questions, I want you to come up with some um, topics that you think you could look up in the library database and find information. Now, none of us automatically thinks like a librarian, and I'm going to show you a trick to get some information about how to think like a librarian. But for now, do your own. If you were going to do a Google search, say, what would you search? And we all search Google. The problem is the library databases are not organized exactly as Google is. And I still say they are the best sources for you, and I'm going to require most of your research be from the library databases. But we all know how to Google search, so let's start with something you might put in Google. Jesus' identity in the Bible. So I'm going to take that phrase and see what happens when I copy and paste it into the library search box here. So I'm at the library page, Fairmont State Library. I think you know how to get there. And this is what happens. All right, so we have the Jewish Jesus, how Judaism and Christianity shaped each other. Well, that's kind of interesting. It's not exactly what I wanted to know about what Jesus said. Um, Bible Belt gay laws? No, that's nothing to do with what I want to know. The taming of the Canaanite woman? No, not really. Were the Jews a Mediterranean society? I'm not so interested in that. John within Judaism, religion, ethnicity, and the shaping of Jesus-oriented Jewishness in the fourth gospel. That's a possibility. So I want to know more about this article. And the way I do that is I click on the title and I get more information. Critically, what I want you to look for is down here at the bottom where it says subjects. And this subject list is how librarians think. They are the keywords that librarians use. So you have to open the individual item, book, or article that you think looks interesting, and then look at the subject list below to get some good information, some good ideas. None of this says anything specifically about Jesus, so I think I'm probably just going to go back and see if there are any other items here. Um, Exalting Jesus in Ephesians, evangelical post-colonial conversations. Okay, now here we're coming to something that is closer to what I was looking for originally. Luke's Christology of divine identity. So this is looking at the Gospel of Luke, and here is a book about how the book of Luke, what the book of Luke says about Jesus' identity. So let's look and see if we can get some keywords out of this source that might give us more ideas. Oh, I didn't think of just putting in Jesus Christ or the divinity of Christ. So though, or I could look at specific books of the Bible or Christology, which is a name for the study of Jesus in the Bible and in history. So I didn't think of putting in just the term Jesus Christ. Let's see what happens when I do that. And as you can imagine, I get a lot of results, 5,000 some results. The Book of Mormon, here's a book just called um, Jesus Christ. That might be helpful. It does say it's juvenile literature, and I want you to be sure that you are using college level sources, so that wouldn't count. Jesus Christ Superstar, the movie, probably not the best source for this. This is my word. It's a print book, though, and I want you to focus on books you can get online. Jesus Christ and the Preaching of Calvin and Schleiermacher. Okay, that could be useful. Jesus Christ Today, Studies of Christology in Various Contexts. I'll warn you, this is going to be highly technical. You may want something a little more popular. Jesus Christ and the Religions, an essay in theology of religions. The Following of Jesus, a reply to the Imitation of Christ. And this is going to be more personal. This is going to be more about prayer or personal spirituality. Jesus Becoming Jesus, a theological interpretation of the Gospel of John. Okay, so this is going more towards what I was hoping to find. What did Jesus say about himself? That kind of thing. And let's look down again to subjects. Jesus Christ is the big one. Bible, the Gospels, because they are the stories about Jesus. So it looks like another subject heading would be Jesus Christ biography, which I didn't try. So let's click on that and see what comes up. So Jesus Becoming Jesus, which is one of the things that I was already looking at. From Alexander to Jesus. All right, so how stories about Alexander the Great relate to the story of Jesus. That's interesting. Jesus of Nazareth book, The Jewish Jesus, talking about Jesus's Jewish heritage, The Unknown Life of Jesus Christ. Okay, I don't know that book at all. That'll be interesting. Again, I'm not recommending this one because it's apparently juvenile literature for children. That's not what we want to use. On the Trial of Jesus, again, the Cambridge Companion to Jesus. And this one I think would definitely be a source I'd want to have because it seems to be a reference book with all kinds of things about Jesus in it. So let's look at this one. Here we go. Yes, Jesus Christ, Theology, Biographies, History of Doctrines, Jesus Christ Biography. Well, that's in French. Other sources, Christianity. Well, that's very, very broad. But look at all the titles of the chapters. Jesus and his Judaism, Jesus and his God. This is going to tell you a lot. So I'm not expecting that you would read any of these books all the way through, but I think it might be very helpful if you looked at selected chapters, for example, in here that might help you. The Quest for the Real Jesus. Some of these are really interesting if you're interested in researching about Jesus. And so what do you do when you find a book that you're interested in? You save it. And here you can cite it, you can save it. So I have an item here, and I click on my saved list. And as mentioned in the library presentation, once you have a book that you want to use, you can cite it. And I want you to use APA style, American Psychological Association 7th edition. That's correct. All right. And you do need to proofread it carefully, but there it is. And I'm going to so to do this, because for your assignment, you are going to need a list of these citations. So you're going to copy and paste this citation. There it is. Copy and paste it into a document. And that you need three reference sources, three sources from the library. We'll work on looking at web pages next week, but for now, want you to focus on this. You are going to email this to yourself, put your best email address in there, and you can get a copy of this so you don't forget what your source is. Okay, a couple of other things. I want to show you one other example very quickly, and that is an example for a topic in your prospective major, which I really, really like. And this one, I think it was Reagan's, but it's difficulties in childbirth. And so, again, you want to come up with 5 or 6 questions about childbirth and keep the journalist questions in mind. What is the most common difficulty in childbirth? What are the latest improvements in helping women in childbirth? Why do so many women die in childbirth? What are common ways to assist women in childbirth? How safe is cesarean delivery? And then you will come up with additional questions that you want to answer as you go through these. I'm going to go to AIDS in childbirth. That I hoped would give me some information on ways to assist women in childbirth. And I go to the library page here and search AIDS in childbirth in the title.